Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. Oh,
And they're
wait,
back.
there we go. Yay. Okay. Just this little thing happened. What was it last week? 2 weeks ago? Something about a 1.0.
I had a nap. That's what happened.
I think that's our biggest update. Do you want to talk about that, Mark?
Sure. I'll even check a link in there. We have a bit of a longer blog post coming, although it's mainly historical and fun stuff. But yeah, we'll put a post. So we went 1.0, which is very exciting. The big, I think, takeaway from that is honestly that we have now a stable API surface and we've committed to not breaking things, although we've already found something that we will slowly be deprecating. But that's the way I think 1.0s work. Like now we've got lots more people playing with it. We can do fun stuff. We get more people testing and they find interesting things. But we're working on that and we're not going to break anything. And there'll be graduation paths and that kind of stuff. So yeah, super exciting. And thanks to everyone who's been involved with the project for all stages and in all aspects, because it has been a truly community-driven project, and that makes me very happy.
Yeah, awesome. Has anybody on the call tried playing with 1.0 yet? It's okay if you haven't.
Our production system is on 1.0 right now.
Oh, nice.
Yes. It's been fine. We haven't had any issues with Agones. We have had some issues, but it's our own coding. So other than that, it seems to have been very, very good so far.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah, we are using 1.0 also. We just landed our first cluster using Agones in about 1 week, and it's been pretty exciting. We are in early stages of development yet, but the experience is being great.
Awesome.
I'm going to totally mispronounce your first name, but Chayo? I have no idea.
Kayo.
Kayo. Where can you
Yeah.
Are you able to share where you're working or what it is you're doing, at least to a degree?
Yeah, sure. I work for Play Kids. We are developing a multiplayer game for children. We launched it by a couple of months ago, 3 months, something like that. We're just growing. We have our basic metric now. We had about 20,000 players concurrently on children, which is nice. We are currently configuring everything with Agones. We are using the fleets, and we are planning to use the autoscaler for the next few weeks because we are having a lot of challenges with the scale of the game, and I think it might help a lot.
That's awesome. Very cool. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the website. Cool. Well, we'll talk more about some of the other stuff that, I see Cami had a question about 1.0, so we'll talk. And then Mark wanted to talk about the features and stuff. So, real quick, I was curious: are you coming to KubeCon, or are you considering it, or are you like, I don't know anything about this? If you're not familiar with it, KubeCon is the Cloud Native Computing Foundation's big event. They usually have one in Europe and China and North America. And this year, the North America one is in San Diego. It's the week before Thanksgiving, so it's the week of November 18th. Hoping that we'll get to see some familiar faces there. We will have some Agones content, so there will be a workshop on the first day of KubeCon, and then we'll also have some kind of, meet the maintainers type sessions throughout the week. So if you're going to be there, we'd love to meet up and, say hi, put a face to the video chat. And if you are interested in going and just aren't familiar with it, please reach out. Happy to, share some information, and also would love to, encourage you to come if you're on the fence. So.
Does that mean that, like, I said, Robert, it doesn't look like you're coming for now. Does that mean we're doing Meet the Maintainers at some point during the week?
I told you Robbie signed us up for a little session.
Okay. I haven't paid attention.
Yeah, I think we've got a slot at the Google booth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark,
very cool.
You literally said just to tell you where to go. So
yeah, no, that's true. That's fine. Pune, are you coming?
No, I'm not planning.
So you don't have Meet the Maintainers responsibilities then?
Sure. When is it?
It's November 18th. It's the week of November 18th.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. It's definitely an interesting, for anyone who hasn't, gone before, it's definitely, it's all things KubeCon. Robbie can probably, talk more. I think he's probably been to more of them than I have total, but it's definitely, a good experience for all things Kubernetes. So.
Is it late to sign up, or
No.
we still can sign up?
Still, signups are still available. I'll put a link in the doc. It is, they expect around.
Pune, can you move your microphone away from your face? I think it's picking up.
April, I think I muted you instead of Pune.
There you go.
Sorry. April, unmute yourself. I clicked the wrong person. I think the people are jumping around on my screen. There you go.
You caught me looking at another tab. No, I was grabbing the link to the conference. Yeah, it's they expect 10 to 12,000 people. So it will be large, but this year, because it's in the San Diego Convention Center, they're able to hold like up to 15,000 people. So I don't anticipate it will sell out. The biggest challenge right now is hotels. So. Yeah.
So the last couple of years it has sold out because we've hit max capacity for the various venues that it's been at in both Austin and Seattle. Like April was saying, I think this year there's a little more flexibility, and I think we might have some discount codes. I don't know if those are still valid or if it's too late for like the early bird sign up stuff.
To be clear, those are discount codes for Googlers, not just anyone who's on this call.
I thought we had some to hand out to other people too.
Oh, really? Oh, then I don't know. I should shut up.
Yeah. So I would say April might. So if you want to go and you haven't gotten a ticket, you should talk to April.
Yeah, we can always
try to dig some up.
Yeah, we can always find discount codes. They run around. But yeah, definitely check it out. Did I already have a link in there? Okay. You know what? I need coffee. Definitely check it out, and if you are interested to go, happy to dig up a discount code, like Robbie said. Come hang out with us in San Diego in November. It's not too bad, right? Of all the places to go in November. Next year it's going to be in Boston, so if you can only pick, definitely San Diego. I don't want to go to Boston in November. Okay, next thing on the agenda was Mark was going to talk about experimental new features.
Sweet. So one of the things that came to mind for me recently, because now we're 1.0, awesome, that's great. One of the things about being alpha for so long was we could kind of try things out, and if they didn't work out, then we could break them and fix them, which was awesome for us developers and terrible for everyone using the system. One thing I noticed about how Kubernetes often does things is they have what they call, like, they'll do experimental features. So they'll have like alpha and then beta and then GA, which I think gives some latitude for trying out new things and finding out what we don't know that we don't know. I was going to write sort of a sacrificial doc to go into the developing platform, or maybe that's not the right place, I'm not sure. As some ideas about how we can do that for various different features. I think CRDs are an easy one because they already have those versions built in, but things like, what if there's a sub element inside a CRD? Like if we want to add something to like the IM server, like how do we make that alpha or beta? If we want to do the same thing for an SDK, how do we handle that? What are our, how do we expose that to like everyone who's using the system in a good way? So like, so it's obvious. And like, what are our commitments to that? Like alpha definitely breaks, will probably definitely break. GA obviously doesn't. Beta may do, that kind of stuff. Does that sound reasonable to people that we should have a document that does that kind of stuff and like outlines that, and then we can work through the details? I saw a slide.
Yeah, sure. Sure, it makes sense.
Cool. All right, I'll write something up in the next few days. Not today. I have some thoughts, and then people can tell me I'm wrong.
I was going to say, I've always liked the way that Istio did it, where it's literally just a table and it says, like, look for a feature that's alpha. This is what you can expect. If it's beta, this is what you can expect.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a link to show you, but it was very clear, basically.
Nice.
Does that table also list like which things are alpha and beta, or are they just defining what alpha and beta mean?
I've seen both versions, so I don't know how it is right now, but I do know, like, when there was a point where it was just a table and then there was a list of all the different elements and which status they were. So basically, like, just two tables.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the first table is probably really easy for us to write / copy from someone else. It's the second table that's like what things are actually in the different phases. It's going to be, I think, really useful to people using the system, so that if they're using a feature, they understand sort of what the support level is.
Yeah, and like, do we, like, alpha features, do we turn them on by default? Do we leave them turned off? Like that kind of stuff as well. Is it more opt-in, or betas turned on, like that kind of stuff? I think it'd be good to document.
I found it on their website, so I'll put a link. It's just a way to see.
Sweet, that'd be great. That's perfect. Awesome.
Excuse me.
I assume Kubernetes has something similar.
I'm sure they do. I just, for at least from the documentation standpoint, I really liked the way that this was done. I don't know the process of, like, who updates and all of that stuff. I know they try to do it after every release, but obviously we'd probably need to designate someone to be, and hopefully we don't have as many issues or, as many features to have in different phases, but yeah. And if anybody's got any other examples of other projects you've seen that you really like how they do it, please share. Should we make an issue to track it all, Mark, or do you just want to say?
I was just gonna write a doc and, like, just submit it as a PR, and then we can just rip it apart. That was
okay. That works.
I figured that was just easy. Start with the sacrificial draft. Cool. That's I really like that Istio thing. Thank you for sharing.
The next thing is something about you're leaving us.
Yeah, I'm going on vacation for a couple of weeks in about a week. So I'm just letting people know, because I know I show up everywhere constantly. So don't think that I have won the lottery and decided to leave the country.
But you are leaving the country, so maybe you just haven't told us about the lottery part yet.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
I thought I'd let people know rather than leave people wondering where I was. And I'm going to try something novel for vacationing, whereas I'm not going to work, or as much as possible, because I'm a terrible, terrible example of work-life balance.
So, in addition to, of course, we will, miss you. If there's anything, like, if anything breaks,
you can ping me.
No, I was going to say, like, I know Robbie's been really great at trying to kind of diagnose some weirdness that happens. So I would say if you come across anything that's just totally bizarre and you're not sure what's up, ping us in Slack. I know Robbie's usually there. I'm almost always logged in, but may not be paying a ton of attention. So definitely mention us if you need something urgently. But yeah, we'll all hands on deck essentially. So we'll get it done. Besides, it's 1.0 now, so everything's fine. I don't understand. Nothing.
And I managed to thread my vacation into a period where there isn't releases for, like, the first time ever.
You also wanted to congratulate someone on their addition to the website.
Yes. I don't know if anyone from the Jaeger studio is here, but congratulations to them. They submitted a PR to put their logo on the front page of agones.dev. So now that's showing up. They got through our CLA process. So that's a congratulations in and of itself. So yeah, super, super happy to have yet another logo on the front page saying companies using Agones. And so, yeah, if you want to do the same thing, please feel free. It's basically submit a PR, put the link with your image, and point the image wherever it is you feel is most appropriate for you. So good opportunity for self-promotion.
Yeah, we'd love to see it. Okay, so a couple issues that folks wanted to review. I don't know who put the links
I
in.
stuck these on here, but I've been going through the issues this morning, trying to find ones that maybe look like they should be closed, or maybe should be discussed. So far, I think both these look like they're stale and maybe should be closed, but I thought I'd mention it since we're all on the call.
Okay. This was
so
a Cami
the first one is 398. Yeah, so that one I think Cami created, and she's here, so that's awesome. And the last update is Mark saying, I think we can close this, and that was August 26th, which was exactly a month ago. So it seems like we should make a decision and either close it or figure out what the next action item is on it.
Which one do you want to tackle first?
Oh yeah, the one that Cami filed. I don't know if Cami, if you want to mention.
Yeah, so I guess I felt like the smart thing to do would be for the controller to try and see what's the current state of it, because it feels like, even though I know that it's not the right thing to kind of create a new cluster, delete the previous one, and the controller goes down, it's not very aware of its status. But I feel like if it's restarted, it should like recheck what kind of game servers are actually running and if the pods are actually there or not. We now split the pools and we did the right thing, but I felt still that this could be a good idea.
Sounds like you're in favor of keeping it open, basically.
Yeah, I guess it could be done better than it is right now.
Yeah, so I think this kind of relates to something we discussed in the past, which is making the controllers more sort of highly available, right? At least having a deployment configuration where you can say, I want to run, a couple of copies of my controller, because I think a lot of the problems that we see are when you do something that causes a controller to exit, and we're expecting the system to keep working, but the controller is down. So like you're upgrading your nodes and your game servers are getting shuffled around, but the controller is not there to get the calls from, for the validating webhooks and so forth, and stuff just sort of kind of gets stuck or lost during those situations. And so if we had a way to run the controller with more than one replica, we could set a pod disruption budget on that controller to sort of ensure that any system that's respecting pod disruption budgets keeps at least one copy of the controller running during upgrades. Then I think we'd avoid a lot of these sorts of issues. But that's, it's a decent chunk of work. And so I think the sort of short-term mitigation, which sounds like you guys are doing, is to sort of keep things separate, because then you can upgrade things separately, right? If you upgrade the node where your controller is, you're not also trying to shuffle a bunch of game servers at the same time. And then if you're trying to upgrade the nodes where your game servers are running, your controller isn't going down. So I think we have sort of an idea of what the correct long-term fix is, but it'll be a little while before it shows up. So I'm glad you guys are using multiple node pools now, because I think that's going to be a lot safer for you in production.
What was I going to say? Do we have a ticket tracking, basically a high availability for the controller?
That's a great question. If we don't, we should create one. I'm going oldest to newest on issues, and I haven't seen one yet. So
I don't think we have one,
because I think it would be pretty old if we had one.
I think we have one for like when we were at the one about like the allocator service should scale up independently. Like there's some stuff in there, I think, for splitting out the allocation aspects, but not necessarily the controller. Although there's probably an interesting question one could ask is, if we split out the controller, does it do enough for the allocation as well? But that's a whole other thing. Could be a simpler way of solving the same problem.
I don't think it would apply to allocation, because allocation, well, it applies to the allocation extension API server, but not the allocator service.
Yes, 100%.
Yep. The problem right now is we have one binary basically for all those different functionalities. I think if we separate those two different binaries and let them scale at differently, then we would have a better scale.
No, I don't disagree. No, I was just thinking that, like as a good, potentially as an interim step, we could split the controller, and that would have and I'm pretty sure there's some leader election stuff in there that would give us multiple endpoints to do at least like the extension API at least to start, and then we could pull the extension API out as well and like kind of just roll it forward that way. But yeah, I don't think we've got. I know we've got your ticket, but I don't think. Yeah, okay. So we should create a ticket for that.
And then did you want to talk about 5.11?
Sure. So another one I found was 5.11, which is speeding up end-to-end tests. Mark, your last comment 20 days ago was, "Can we close this now?" The comments before that were basically like, "Things are running really slowly," and then a month after that, you said, "Can we close?" without any sort of data about like, "Yes, they're now running fast enough. Here's the current time." So it might be useful to like put that information in the bug, but also I think we can probably close it. I think they're running.
I think we can
fast enough now.
I think I'm literally looking right now to see what that is looking like. Where's one that just built? I built it back up to about 20 minutes. They were down about 13 or 14. What is our end-to-end test? Okay, it's coming down to about 4 minutes, which is pretty good. What is taking the longest? Oh, interesting. Anyway, yeah, end-to-end tests are like 4 minutes, so I think we can close that. Let me put a note in there. I hear puppies.
Can you seriously hear them? Wow. They're behind a closed door at literally the other end of the house.
Yeah, they're reasonably loud.
Yes,
must be really loud when they're actually in the same room.
The dog walker is here, which is the highlight of their day. So
nice. Right, I found another one to discuss, which is 901, which is adding tolerations to the Helm chart for the game server allocator. Those tolerations were added in I think 902 or 910, a pull request a while back. But the issue is still open, I think, because people were asking about adding test coverage. So I wanted to ask, do we have like sort of test coverage for other parts of the Helm installation? It would make sense to extend here. Or is that something that we can just say, like, it's been added, people noticed, and we fixed it. And it's not really a place where we want to invest in extending our EDE test infrastructure.
What is this one?
I'll just repeat what I said, Mark, since you were typing. The issue that's open has been resolved. We had a PR that went in that added the correct tolerations to Helm. It's still open because there was a conversation you were having about potentially adding test coverage. Right? I think Puna asked a question on the issue, like, do we have test coverage? And maybe we could figure this out automatically in the future instead of catching it by hand.
In theory, could we maybe do something like, because if we're going to do test coverage for this, we might as well do test coverage for like, what's the words I'm looking for? Everything that has tolerations, because we have a few that do, including the controller itself. So a part of the end-to-end test could be going to see where those pods are and seeing if they're in the right place.
Should we close this one and create a new issue for test coverage?
Yeah, I guess my question was more, I understand we could do that. Do we think that's a sort of a worthwhile time to spend our time investing in versus the other things that are on the backlog? Like, are we ever actually going to get to this, or should we just close it and say, like, unless this issue kind of crops up repeatedly, it's not worth building automation to detect? That was more the question.
I don't know if I have strong opinions.
Anybody else have strong opinions?
Or any opinions?
What's your thoughts, Robbie?
I know. I feel like we have a lot of stuff on the backlog that this is going to be one of those things that's like P4 indefinitely, and it's not going to get built. And it's not, I guess we maybe should also have a discussion of, there's an issue later on the agenda about in-place upgrades, and we should talk about like maybe what we think we're going to do for in-place upgrades and installation strategy in the medium and long term. I think those sort of relate to, if we do in-place upgrades, we're going to have better tests for those, which might end up sort of being able to cover this scenario also as a side effect. But right now, with the recommendation being to install into a new cluster, basically we'd just be checking that something has been installed properly, and then I think you're going to have a lot of sort of copy paste edge case miss the tests, for doing specific, like, is Helm doing what I think Helm is doing? Writing those tests is going to, I feel like, not going to be the best use of someone's time.
You can actually make it part of the end-to-end test. It wouldn't actually be, or at least a rudimentary version wouldn't be particularly complicated. Like, go look for these deployments, check their pods, see what nodes they're on. Though actually, on our end-to-end cluster, I don't think we actually have it split.
We don't, right? And that was another thing that Puna and I talked about before, was like, should we be creating new clusters for each end-to-end run? And if we did that, then we'd probably want to create them with the recommended node pool separation, and then it'd be really easy to check that this was happening, right?
Yeah. We could create an end-to-end cluster like it is currently and just add the node pools as well. There's that as an option as well.
Yes. Yeah, and then it'd be pretty easy to see what node things are running on.
That sounds like a multi-step approach. It's not a bad thing.
Okay, so it sounds like you're leaning slightly in favor of let's rejigger the EE cluster, and because the check will be relatively simple to write at that point. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to check a note on the thing saying steps.
One thing about that issue.
Yep.
How about adding a label, and basically that shows the priority of the issues, and then don't close them so we don't ignore them in future. If we have more time for the backlogs, we can go through them and fix them.
Yeah, that's probably a good meta question of like, how do we want to prioritize this stuff? Right now, it seems to be the things that get done are the things that people think are important.
Yeah,
which is
pretty common open source, right? Which is like, I care about fixing X, I'm going to contribute to that. And I think there are some things that as a community, like, we know we need to do together, right? And I think and those are places where we'll come to this meeting and like ask for people to help on specific issues. But I think that, if somebody thinks this is important and they go fix it, I think that's awesome too. So.
Okay, so with 901, do we want to keep that open and leave it the way it is, or do we want to create a new ticket around end-to-end testing of tolerations?
I would prefer opening a new ticket, because if we're going to test for tolerations, we should test the other things too, and not just that one.
Okay, I think I agree.
And it's like that can probably be a help one also, because it's literally like you can write down the steps. It's change the Jinja template for the EDE cluster, ping someone who has access that can rebuild it, and then write a simple test to check the things are on the right nodes.
That sounds okay. So it sounds like we're in agreement that we can close 901. I will close 901.
And next thing was to talk about doing updates. This was Cammy's question.
Right, yes. So currently, every time we need to update the cluster, I have to purge the previous version of Agones. I guess not a big issue, but I was wondering if it would be similar to other software where you just have to kind of do an update operation rather than the purge and a fresh install.
How are you installing now? You're using Helm, right? Or no?
Yes, that's right. So first I purge it with Helm, and then I install the whatever version I want.
Yeah, I wrote the update docs, but Why aren't you just doing an update?
Can you?
It's what we do in our intern
Because
tests.
I didn't used to be able to. Oh my god.
So I know there were certain things previously that stopped you from doing an update because we were mucking around with like CODs a lot and like removing stuff, and things would break. But in theory, you should be able to do it now.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
Mark was saying, in our EDE test cluster, we do a Helm upgrade between PRs. So it's not testing exactly the scenario of upgrading to 1.0 to 1.1 because we're upgrading to sort of all these different intermediate PRs in the middle. And in the past, that's broken, and we've had to manually Helm purge and restart. But the idea is that shouldn't break going forward. Ideally, we'd have a test that did that basically said, like, from 1.0, create install a cluster with that and upgrade to basically to master, right? And we run that in the background, verify that in-place upgrade works, and we cut it in release. We'd have confidence that it has been working and it will continue to work. So we don't have that yet. Theoretically, it should work. So what I would say is that right now, the recommendation, because we don't have that automated testing in place, is to create a new cluster and migrate over. It should work, and so you should test it on your non-production cluster first and verify that nothing breaks before doing it on a production cluster.
Yeah. According to our docs, it should, like, our docs say that you should be able to do a Helm upgrade.
Right.
I don't think I don't think we've hit it for a while where a Helm upgrade hasn't worked.
Right.
Okay, thanks. I'll try next time. Next
Yeah,
release.
let us know if it breaks. Absolutely.
Hopefully you find out it breaks before doing it in production.
We always did in the QA first, so our QA system looks exactly the same as our production. So I do the same steps before production.
I mean, it's not as exciting that way, but it still works. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
So I stuck another issue in the section above, which was 1044. We can discuss quickly, which is upgrading to Kubernetes 1.13. I've filed the issue almost a month ago, and we haven't started working on it yet. But sort of an FYI to people, I would expect this to land in like the 1.2 time frame. I think, especially with Mark going on vacation, and I'm trying to shuffle around some API bits so we don't get stuck before 1.1 gets cut. This is likely to land after 1.1, but before 1.2. Again, like, theoretically, you should be able to update your cluster in place, especially if you have separate node pools, without causing downtime. But it's going to, be the safest route is going to be create a new cluster, install Agones 1.2 on a 1.13 cluster, and migrate stuff over. That we're going to have really high confidence it's not going to break you. And then in the in-place upgrade, we'll have sort of, moderate confidence that it should work. But it'll have less sort of testing that will work properly. So that's sort of a FYI, and then also, if people want to help contribute to this issue, we'd love to have people help. Last time there were lots of little PRs that went into it that are relatively straightforward for people to work on if they want to.
Well, the last thing I had on the agenda was just, fun conversation about what everyone is playing these days. But before we get to that, did anybody want to talk about any other issues or?
So I was going to bring up one thing that Robbie just reminded me of. Yesterday, I actually spent some time going through the issues and adding what I thought were good first issues and help wanted on tickets. So if people are actively looking for places to get involved or are looking for good places to get started, hopefully that should help as well. Sorry. Go ahead, April.
No, that's yeah. I mean, if that's all the serious business we have, I would be curious to just, chat about what fun games everybody's playing. Because, that's theoretically an interest we all have in common.
Who's playing the Untitled? Go on. Go.
I was trying to get Super Card to work, and I can get it to work locally, but I can't figure out how to run my own server yet. It looks like you have to compile from source, which is kind of annoying. So
What? Really?
That's unfortunate. Yeah. So on my
It's
phone,
not
I
in the
did
download?
no, it is not.
Unacceptable.
On my phone, I play a lovely idle game called Egg Inc. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Oh my god, I'm playing it for it as well.
But it's taught my 7-year-old son how to count to extremely large numbers. I think his teacher at school thinks he's making up numbers when he starts counting numbers that are in 10 decillion, right? And she's like, "You're probably just making that up," whereas it's actually a real number that he knows from playing a game on his phone.
Very cool. Yes, I am playing Untitled Goose Game. It is the greatest thing ever.
Australian Game Studios.
There's been a lot of fan art around it. So has anybody else played it?
I need to pick it up at some point.
If you haven't played it, it is an amazing stress reliever. And this was an interesting thing that I read was it's a one game where you don't have to worry about you're not going to die. You don't have to worry about, doing a timed checklist. You're free to just wander around, be as much of a jerk goose as you want to. Yes, Doug. Yes, exactly.
GTA for nicer people. That's hilarious.
Yes, that's an amazing analogy. Yeah. And so there's been this amazing, fan art that people have done of the goose, knocking over the kid and, untying its shoes and all that. And it's pretty fun. But it's definitely good for the end of a long day. You just kind of want to be a jerk goose. Take some aggression out.
Yeah, that's going on my Twitch. I think probably now.
Yeah, it's definitely, I recommend it. And the other one is Overland that I've been playing obsessively.
This is modern Oregon Trail.
Yeah. Although Oregon Trail, that was so long ago. Yeah. But that's trying to save yourself in a post-apocalyptic world. And then there was the new Zelda. But honestly, Overland has been, taking the majority of my attention. And then I know at least Robbie and I are on Pokemon Go. So if anybody needs to be friends, just let us know.
True. I should get to level 40 in 2 more months. It's going really slowly.
I just got to 30. I stayed up late last night to get to 30.
So you're catching up to my son. I think the count's at 34.
Yeah. So
30,
a little thing.
He's at 33.
Are we the only ones playing video games? Nobody else is playing anything?
I tried playing Civ 6 on my Switch, which I did probably play for 4 or 5 hours, but I think I just have to come to terms with the fact that 4X games, I get frustrated really quickly. So I went back to playing Mafia 3 on my PC.
I play Path of Exile because the new League came out recently, so on Path of Exile hype, and I guess Minecraft as always. Best game.
Yeah,
I started getting back into Dead Cells again, which I'm terrible at, but I can't seem to put down.
It's kind of me with Overland. I can't quite get past a certain point, and I will continue until I get past it. So, what is Dookie playing?
Being an annoying dog. How to jump on the bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's what she's playing.
It's a good game.
It's a good game.
Play it.
Yeah.
Mine likes to play it too. Yeah.
What are you doing at 4 a.m.? I'm jumping on the bed and going to sleep on the bed with you. That's what I'm doing.
Well, does anybody want to chat about anything else? Or should we get 15 minutes or so back? Next meeting will be in October, which I think Mark will be back by then.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so. The week before Halloween. Everyone should come in costume.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
I love
Yeah.
Halloween, but I'm not a fan of
Yeah.
dressing up.
I have birthday on Halloween. Everybody dress up.
Or at least like a
Just
funny hat,
for
like
birthday.
something.
Yeah, everybody in the city. Yeah, it's great.
Remember back in like the old days, Hangouts had the ability, like you could put a weird hat on. We need to bring
Yeah.
that back.
And I got some karaoke party, and the main host was inside. How it's called? So everybody were like that, and he was sitting like underground and talking from there. Yeah, it was really a bit horrible for birthday.
It's creative.
Yeah. And I want to about mention one game. So South Park is like PvP on mobile phones from Ubisoft. It's also fun with a lot of updates. So different characters from South Park, and yeah, they have a really big number of players, I think. And you can play PvP from mobile phone on mobile net, so which is unusual because it's slow.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, and by the way, it's called Phone Destroyer, so you can destroy your phone.
I don't know. Maybe it is relevant. Maybe interesting. If you're interested at all, one of the podcasts I just did on the GCP was with the Dauntless team. They use GKE for game servers, but they don't use Agones. But there's some really interesting lessons and stuff they learned doing that. Dauntless did pretty well. It became a large scale game. So you might be interested in listening.
Nice little self promotion there.
Yeah, thanks.
Although, wasn't that your last one?
I've got one more coming.
Okay.
I'm actually, yes. I don't think I've actually said this publicly, but yes, I am slowly leaving the GCP podcast and giving other people some room to talk. So I have one more coming, and it's a good one, but I don't want to tell you what it is. It's another games one.
Oh, now we're intrigued.
Yeah, see, there we go.
Cool. Well, I think this was the biggest crowd we've had on a call yet, which is exciting. Before the end of the year, hopefully we'll send out like a little survey. And one of the big questions that I am curious about is like, what's a good time for everybody? I'm actually on another meeting they meet at like 8 a.m. California time. And one of the threads yesterday was like, no one has been to this meeting in like years because of the time. And so you get enough of a critical mass, you can request a time change. So as we get more folks joining in, definitely want to make sure we're meeting at a time that's good for everybody. So, but we'll do that before the end of the year.
One more bit of self-promotion left. The CFP for the Online Games Technology Summit at GDC next year, it closes in 4 days. So if you want to submit stuff about anything you do about multiplayer or infrastructure or other such things, please get that in as soon as possible. Disclaimer, I am an advisor on that.
Did you put oh, you did put a link. Okay.
I put links.
That is a pretty intense CFP review period then.
It is. It's also it's a large CFP thing that GDC does, but that's GDC for you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Anybody got anything else? All right. If not, then we can get 10 or 13 minutes back. We'll get the recording up on our channel, YouTube channel, later today. And then if you have anyone on your team that missed out, they can catch up. And otherwise, we will see y'all next month and text you on the Slacks if anything comes up.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
See y'all.